All right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co-host Jake Ellenbogen. And guys, we are coming to you to do a brief recap of our Rams win over the Minnesota Vikings last week and preview our matchup against the Seahawks. As many of you know, I was not able to watch the Vikings game live last week. I was at a rehearsal dinner for a wedding that I was in. So many of you graciously were tweeting me updates throughout the game. So that way I could quickly open my notifications on Twitter and see what was going on. But I was actually able to, as Jake, you know, and as I shared on Twitter, during the rehearsal dinner, I did open the Amazon Prime video app and I was like watching brief periods of the game and then putting it away whenever I was needed at something during the rehearsal dinner. So I was able to see much more of the game live than I thought I was going to be able to see, which was cool. And Jake, I was able to see a 30-20 Rams win, which is the best part. And you and I both had predicted that the Rams would win this game when we did our preview episode for, Vikings at Rams. Jake, even though neither you or I was surprised to see that the Rams won this game, it still was really, really good to see this offense really gel. And it's funny, but it's not funny how so many people who I don't use the term casual, but a lot of people that weren't Rams fans were like, "Oh my God, this Rams offense looks really good." And as many of us were joking, it's like, yeah, it's almost like they have two superstars that just came back. Matthew Stafford just gained two new awesome receivers in Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, which really, really made a difference. So Jake, can you give us like a brief summary of what the Rams were able to do against the Vikings last Thursday?
Yeah. Yeah, really what they were able to do is everything they wanted to do. They were able to run the football with Kyren Williams. They were able to throw the football to Puka Nacua, who I said would play. I wasn't expecting him to be more so less limited than, Cooper Kupp. I was a little bit of a shock, but they were able to do everything, Alexis. And I thought it was really impressive because this is a defense. Let's start off with the defense here. This is a defense that gets a lot of shade, a lot. But the Rams PR tweeted out today, 3 hours ago, in the month of October, the Rams defense finished the month as the number one scoring defense, scoring 15 points, led the league in opponent third down conversion rate, 20%, and recorded 4 interceptions, which is tied for the sixth most in the NFL, and held offenses to a 307 total. And to me, when you look at that, which by the way, that's 7th fewest in the NFL, this is the biggest thing, is that we knew when the offense got healthy, we knew they would do some things, but now the defense is also starting to do some things. And this is becoming a scary, scary team. And, I understand the Puka Nacua news comes out yesterday. People are freaking out and, rightfully so. I'm still a little concerned, even though they said, yeah, it's just a scare. This is the third time he's re-aggravated, or second time he's re-aggravated an injury he had back in August. But, be that as it may, this team came into the season knowing they were not starting their go-to 22 players, right? They've made adjustments in their secondary because of injuries. They've made adjustments up front on the offensive line. You've gotten great contributions out of guys that maybe you didn't even expect to see playing this year, but Justin Dedick and, of course, Bo Limmer. And it's just big because regardless of how you want to frame this, the Vikings are coming off their loss and, it was a short week and every team that plays the Lions loses. Like, regardless of how you want to frame it, the Vikings are a good football team. And the Rams really, from the moment they were down 14-7, they turned that around and they outplayed them the rest of the way. No matter what anyone says, you can't take that away from the Rams. So just overall, really impressed with what I saw from them. And I think they're going to, push this further. I said after the bye, I think they win the next 5 games. And then, the Philly game, we'll see. I'll actually be there. But I feel really good about this Seattle game. It's just like last year. They were 3-6 going in the Seattle game, coming off the bye, and they had to win an ugly game without Kyren Williams, who was a star for them. They win that game 17-16, just like they won an ugly game against the Raiders 20-15, and they went on a huge run, only losing one game the rest of the year. I'm not saying the Rams are about to go 12-5 here, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. They're a very good football team. They were very good before the season started. Injuries happened. And I think if anything, Alexis, you can take it like this. Now you have guys like Jordan Whittington. You have guys like Jalen McAuliffe that have been asked to do more than maybe anybody would have thought they would have had to do. Bo Limmer, Justin Diedick. That tells me these guys are going to be ready in the moment. Okay. And so when you're able to kind of upgrade your depth just by giving them more opportunities, it's a huge thing. Live reps cannot be replicated. It's that simple. So them getting live reps this early on in the season, it's only going to make this team stronger.
I agree with you. And I think that Thursday night football game was so important for a lot of different reasons, not just for, the record, right? We were all talking about, are they going to fall to, you know, uh, in a deeper hole, right, with a losing record? Are they going to be able to get to 3-4? What's going to happen? And it wasn't just the record, Jake. There was all of these trade rumors, right, surrounding the Rams going to Thursday night football. And the sentiment kind of was, this game was like a turning point, right, for the Rams. They either were going to come out and gel really well and win and show that when they're healthy, they are true contenders, or they're going to lose. The Rams are going to blow this thing up and call it a wrap on the season. Now, the truth was probably somewhere in between there a little bit, but we do know that there was validity to those Cooper Kupp trade talks. However serious they were, people can say what they want, but again, they happened, right? So I think we all knew going into Thursday night, this wasn't just we need a win to get our record back on track, to get back on track in the NFC West. We need to win if we want to continue to see this Rams era as we know it. And the Rams showed us that, hey, they are good, as good as we thought they were when they're healthy. So I thought that was super important for this, game against the Vikings. And like you and I have been saying, yes, this offense up until Thursday Night Football has been really frustrating aside from Kyren Williams, right? Like we've talked about it, to nauseum. Like there just was no receiver on the team other than really Tutu Atwell that was creating separation like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua could do. And we saw that when Kupp and Nacua came back. I mean, they were game changers, right? You're able to put them on the field. It's going to ease things up for Kyren Williams. I mean, Kyren was rushed for 97 yards. He was 3 yards away from getting, another 100-yard game. So he still did very well, but you're able to take the pressure off of him when you bring in guys like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. And that also alleviates pressure on Matthew Stafford, right? I mean, he threw for 4 touchdowns. So again, it cannot be, overstated the impact that Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua have on this Rams offense. So yeah, it was a really, really fun game for Rams fans. Thursday Night Football, prime time, the world gets to see, everybody's watching, and the Rams showed up. So I'm glad that we briefly touched on that, and I'm sorry to everybody that we're so behind in touching on Thursday Night Football. Jake and I our schedules were crazy. Like I said, I was at a wedding rehearsal that Thursday night for a wedding I was in Saturday, and then Jake that weekend had a wedding, so we were like crazy week for the both of us.
Out.
I know. Well, now that it's hitting November, I mean, I feel like September, October are the big months I typically find for weddings. Not that there can't be some, in November, December, but there's less. So hopefully you and I can get back on the same schedule now as we gear up for the rest of this Rams season. But Jake, I think we should move on. I think we should preview this matchup against our division rival, the Seahawks, on Sunday.
I agree.
What do you think?
Before we get into that, I just want to let you guys know that to today's live stream, which is, I hope to be kind of moving forward, this is the thing because I love doing live streams. And I mean, we're no strangers to going live for 7 hours at a time for the NFL draft.
That is very true.
So we can do it. But just wanted to let people on YouTube know because we premiere every single pre-recorded show we do on YouTube. And you can go follow me at Jake Ellenbogen. You can follow Alexis Craft. It's on all of our YouTube platforms, including Downtown Rams. We're on Twitter. So we appreciate you. If you guys are new here, be sure to subscribe. If you're on Twitter, you want to, show some love to the channel, come over to YouTube, subscribe. But this is brought to you by Prize Picks. And if you use my code JK Bogan, you're going to get $50 instantly when signing up, playing a $5 lineup, whether you win or lose on Prize Picks. You're going to get $50 instantly. So, hey, not a bad deal, right? Check it out. Download the app today. You can mix and match. You got NHL going on as well. You got NBA going on. You had the World Series. That's now over. But you can mix and match. You play up to 2 to 6 players. Their projections, it really works as simple as if a guy has 50.5 as his projection. If you think he's going to have more, you put more. If you think he's going to have less, you think, you have less. And I'll give you a freebie. Okay. Whatever Kyren Williams is at the rest of the week, I would pick more on, because he's going up against a team that is allowing the 3rd most rushing yards this year in the Seattle Seahawks. Furthermore, he's going up against Seattle Seahawks. The last 3 games alone are giving up 180 plus on the ground. So Kyren Williams, I think, is going to have a huge game this week. I think this is his time. You see just kind of the maturation of those two interior offensive linemen, the rookies. You got Justin Diedick, who played really well against the Vikings, and you got Bo Limmer. Of course, you have Kevin Dotson, Alec Jackson, and Rob Havenstein. But the big thing, Alexis, is they might have Jordan Whittington back. And most importantly, they do have, at least, if everything goes south, they don't have Whittington, they don't have Puka, whatever, they're going to have Cooper Kupp. And Cooper Kupp is a fantastic blocker. He's going to help in the run game. I really think that this is going to be a game that's won and lost based on the run game. And I feel really good about that. But before we get into that, be sure to hit the like button. Yeah, the like button is free. Thank you, Nolan. And we got a super chat. Thank you, Matthew. Main thing is to win our division. We need to win this game. Jared is slowly but surely making pressures, hits, and sacks when it finally clicks. Absolutely. Jared Verse is on an absolute tear. He's 9th in the league in pressures right now. Win rate, he's still in the top 10. He's been one of the best pass rushers in the league, regardless of rookie status or not. And again, thank you to Matthew for that. But yeah, they have to win. They have to win the division. And it starts with, you already have the tiebreaker right now against the 49ers. That can change. We're aware, Thursday Night Football down the road. But currently you have a tiebreaker of the 49ers. You did not get one against the Cardinals. You need one against Seattle. And you have a chance to, I know Seattle's sitting there at 4-4, Lexus. They did just lose 3 straight. Okay. I know they won that game in there. They did just lose 3 straight before that Falcons game. So they just lost a blowout to the Bills last week. James Cook had whatever he wanted on the ground. I expect that to be the same. I see no excuse Sunday in the comment section. I agree. Feed Kyren the rock.
I agree. And yeah, let's start talking about our offense. Jake, going up, against this Seahawks defense. My opinion is the same as yours. I think that they need to run the ball. That is something that people are probably sick of hearing maybe Rams fans say, but it's true, right? We've said it every single game this season. McVay sometimes likes to stray away from the run, but the run works for us. Kyren Williams gets the job done like 99% of the time, right? He's very successful on the ground. Yes, having the receivers back, kind of like I talked to earlier, is going to take the pressure off of him a little bit. It might make McVay more inclined to throw the ball. I'm not saying you shouldn't throw the ball. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a balanced offensive attack, but I do think, like you kind of threw out about the Seahawks defense, like they give up a lot of yards in the ground. Kyren Williams, again, very efficient running back. I think that he has a chance to feast against the Seattle Seahawks. So if it were me, that would be my first point of emphasis, going against Seattle. really just give the ball, to Kyron and, maybe get Blake Corum involved a little bit more. We've seen that, the Rams be a little bit more willing to kind of get him involved when they can. But I still think it's going to be, the Kyron Williams show. I think they're going to, feed him the ball as much as they can, or at least I'm hoping they do until the Seahawks prove that they can stop the run game. I think you should absolutely just, wear it out. I mean, just really pound the rock. Especially Puka Nakua's out. Like you touched on. Cooper Kupp will be back, but if it's just him back and not Puka, maybe you're more inclined to run the ball with Kyron a little bit more. I don't know if you have any like other thought than that, because you did just say that you thought that Kyron was going to have a big game.
Yeah,
But it sounds like we're in agreement, right? That the Rams' first point of emphasis should be the run game this Sunday.
absolutely. Because I feel like this is a game where you want to take the wind out of their sails. I mean, let's not get carried away here. Okay. You go back to the Falcons game. That's how Seattle wants to beat you. That's how they know they can beat you. And how did they beat the Falcons by 20 on their turf? I'm going to explain to you because I watched that game, went back and I watched it. Seattle was able to make some things happen where they had a 10-point lead at half. And it put the Falcons in a position where now they can't run the football. And a lot of what they want to do is run the football. Kirk Cousins is excellent, but he is excellent when they run the football because now he can play off the passing attack, play action passing game. When you take away a talented backfield with guys like Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, and now you become a one-dimensional offense because of what they're doing, well, guess what? They just eliminated your chances because now you can't run it. You're down 10. You have to score. And the Falcons have backed you in a corner where all you can do is throw. And it basically covers up their biggest weakness, which is the ground game. They've had a really hard time stopping the run, like I mentioned. And if they can get you throwing, then they feel like they can cause a turnover or two. And if they've caused a turnover or two, they can flip the game on your head. So the Rams do have a tall task ahead. I'm not trying to say this is going to be easy. The reason I say that, the Rams have yet to win a game on the road. They are 0-3 on the road, okay? And let's be honest here. They've only gotten Cooper Kupp back. If Puka Nacua doesn't play on Sunday and Whittington doesn't play, and for whatever reason, No Boom is ruled out after 2 weeks of full practicing, I have no idea what to make of that. I think it's fair to say that, yeah, the Rams really haven't had a ton of guys come back from injury. It wasn't kind of the expectation you come out of the bye and you're going to see Steve Avila back and you're going to start to see Jonah Jackson and you're going to see John Johnson and all these guys. That's not what happened. The Rams just changed their approach after the bye. I want to make that very clear. The Rams didn't get much healthier. Let's be honest with ourselves here. They did not get much healthier after the bye like we were hoping for. They changed some things up. They made adjustments in the secondary. They're doing this kind of timeshare thing in the secondary with Akello Witherspoon and Kobe Durant. They got Darius Williams back, to be fair, but they didn't get super healthy. I'm very curious how guys that played bigger roles on Thursday, how they're going to build off that. How do you build off say, I don't know, Omar Speights had a really rough first quarter and then he got going and he really looked comfortable. So can he build off that? Because if so, linebacker, in my opinion, is the one thing that the Rams actually have a need for, on the defense. But I think it's important of building off of last week. And I think they're going to do it, Alexis. But I just wanted to put it out there that, yeah, this Seattle team, they know their best chance of winning is protecting what they are bad at. And it sounds simple. That might be the most casual take ever if people are just tuning in, but it makes a lot of sense. If you suck at something, then try and divert the attention away from it. And if you make it a 10-point game at half and you get a team panicking, now all of a sudden they're playing against the clock because they're down by 2 possessions. Well, now you can't run the football because guess what the football does when you're running it? It chews the clock. So that's what the Rams have to do. They have to chew the clock. They have to make it hard on Seattle. I expect them to do that. And then I think they will have some fun in the play action passing attack. I do. But it has to start with Kyren Williams.
I agree. We're on the same page. And from what I've seen, from everyone else on Rams social media and what I'm seeing in the chat, yeah, I think this game is you got to start with Kyren Williams. And if it doesn't work, then you can move on. But, as you and I alluded to, it should work, right? Statistically and historically this season with the Seattle Seahawks defense, you should be able to run against them. So I think you got to start there. And DTR Live is the best thing since Thursday for everybody seeing that comment. Thank you so much. That is very kind.
See, I told you. DTR Live. People are going to go crazy for it.
Hey, I mean, maybe we should start doing more live shows.
Think so.
The only thing with the live is if you're listening on audio, you don't get to see what we're seeing on the screen.
That is true.
A bummer. But we appreciate you listening regardless. He said, want to hook you guys up with my wife's candles. Yes, please send them our way. I've got a candle lit right now. Actually, Jake, none of you can see it. It's over there, and it's called Witching Hour. I broke it out yesterday for Halloween.
I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked that you have
color.
That.
Yeah, I'm right. Jake's like, color me shocked. Me with a candle called Witching Hour. Least surprising thing anybody's ever heard, but
absolutely.
It does. It smells really good. So yes, please definitely send us some candles. I will use it. I always have a candle lit.
Thank you, Ruiz.
But yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for everybody saying hi in the chat, everybody just now tuning in. So we kind of just briefly talked about, what the Rams game plan should be offensively. And Jake and I both think that they should run the ball unless it ends up, not working. Early on, I think, you really got to commit to the run game and you'll have success there. So let's talk about defense, Jake. I want to start this off. We talk about this kind of defensive matchup against the Seahawks offense. The Seahawks are missing a big piece of their offense this week, guys. DK Metcalf is confirmed to be out this Sunday. Jake, he's their wide receiver 1. He's a very good wide receiver. He's very talented. You and I will always have a tie to DK Metcalf. Because the very first draft live stream that Jake and I did together was it was the 2019 draft where we were watching DK Metcalf fall and fall and fall, and Jake and I were like, do they really care about what was it, like the cone drill?
The 3 cone drill.
Yeah,
I'll never understand it for the life of me.
We were like, do these teams care about this as much? Like, we were infuriated because we both really liked him and he kept falling, and of course Seattle got him. So we will always be bonded over DK Metcalf, Jake and I. But he is out, guys. Officially, for anybody who didn't hear that, the Rams will not be facing him, and that's huge.
So is Jake, Noah Fant.
Oh yeah, Noah Fant is out. Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
So
you lose 2 big time red zone pass catchers. That's not good. And I have to say, because I went on a Seahawks show, and I'll just be honest with you, I really don't think Seattle needs DK Metcalf. Jackson Smith-Njigba is not doing enough. I think people just assume, especially because of fantasy football, we're used to just taking a guy and copying and pasting him into a role because a certain guy's out. Right. And what we oftentimes find out is that actual football and fantasy football are 2 different things. And you can't just take, Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's been the 3rd receiver playing off of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. While those guys garner attention, you have the path over the middle of the field. You can't just say Jackson Smith-Njigba is really, really good. He'll just take over for DK Metcalf, because I'll tell you right now, it's not that simple. He hasn't been that great. He's been solid, but nothing to garner, Ohio State wide receiver stuff, right? He hasn't been Garrett Wilson, right? He just hasn't. And so obviously, since he hasn't been on that level, and you have the Rams secondary playing the way they are, and to be fair, the Rams have some cause for concern. I mean, Neville Gallimore's out, so that hurts the defensive line depth a little bit there. And then, I thought this one was a little surprising. Cam Curl, questionable, still with that knee. Okay, he came back to play in that game against the Vikings, but was limited all week in practice. I hope he plays, because if he doesn't, it means we're going to see Cameron Kinchins. I like him a lot long term, but I just don't think he's ready. I don't think he's ready based on what I've seen. So, yeah, I think, and we didn't really talk about the Rams injury report, but Ethan Evans is out. So I do think it's important here to realize the Rams might have to be extra aggressive in this game as well. Because everyone focuses on when a punter's out. First thing I think of is, oh, who's going to punt? First thing I think of is who's going to hold for the kick.
Yeah.
He missed. Yeah, that's what a lot of people don't realize. Cardi missed a kick because of a bad hold, right? That happens. That's a real thing. So that's concerning. They added 2 guys to the practice squad, punters. I don't know anything about either of them, to be honest with you. But I'm concerned about this being a close game, needing field goals, not having that communication, chemistry, that, ability to gel with this brand new holder, and Cardi missing a field goal because of it. I'm hoping to stay out of a close game for that reason. I also think it kind of changes the tide here in circumstances where they're like, Ethan Evans was an absolute baller against the Vikings, right? He was great. He flipped the field. So if you don't have that, and now you're relying on 2 punters who were available this late in the season, right? One of the 2. I think they're probably not going to elevate 2 punters, but one of the 2 punters, right? If that's the case, Alexis, I'm probably going for it on 4th and short more often than not, if it makes sense. If you're close to midfield, I'm probably rolling with that. Because I'll tell you right now, that could be a problem in a close game. It absolutely could. Puka Nacua hasn't been ruled out, for those of you in the comment section that were asking about him. He's questionable. Charles Woods, the cornerback, is questionable. He plays predominantly special teams. Jordan Whittington's questionable. Cam Curl, like I mentioned, is questionable. Noteboom, Evans, and Gallimore have been ruled out. So that's the injury report for the Rams.
Yeah, I think, when you have the punter out, yeah, I mean, you hope you're in a situation, you hope you're in a situation, I guess, regardless, where you don't have to punt that much, right?
Well, yeah.
But now you have to, you have to take into account these other things, such as the holding. Again, I think it's just another reason why you hope to get ahead early. I mean, you hope to, score early and often, right? And then you can see right away, okay, maybe you score 2 touchdowns and each time it goes poorly, with a Cardi kick because of the hold or whatever. So then, okay, going forward, we're just going to go for 2 points every time after we score. So you want to figure that out in like the first and second quarter, and probably you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you have a close game and then it's like the end of the third quarter, the fourth quarter, and now you're finding out what's going to happen if you need to rely on, your punter or, a hold for a kick, right, for a field goal. So I think it definitely, having Evans out is an indication to me, if I'm the Rams, like we need to be aggressive really early. Like the best case scenario in general, but specifically for this game, is just score early and score often, and figure out how that's gonna, work and what that's gonna look like early on. But yeah, I think it's always a huge loss to lose, a reliable punter.
Yeah.
So it is something that the Rams are going to need to obviously have on their radar going into this game. I hope that, like I said, I hope it ends up not being a situation where we are relying too much on a newly activated punter, but it's something to look out for. So, and like you said, I'm looking in the chat, guys. Yeah, Puka's questionable. I know some people thought he was ruled out. He's not been ruled out. He just didn't practice today. So today's Friday. Sean McVay said he kind of I wouldn't take too much stock in this, but he kind of was leaving it like very ambiguous on if Puka would play Sunday. So my advice, guys, if you have Puka on your fantasy team, have another receiver playing in that second game slot. So that way you're not waiting up until game time thinking Puka's going to play. Like have somebody ready that you feel comfortable replace. Like I really don't know if Puka's going to play or not. Jake, I'll be honest, if it was me, I probably wouldn't play him. Like if he tweaked the knee, I'm
I would
probably holding him out against the Seahawks and then
I put him in
hoping he's
uniform.
100%.
I put him in uniform. If you need
Yeah.
him, you need him. I would do it kind of like how they did it with Jordan Whittington. But I'm not trying to rush him in. Like if this game ends up being close and you need a big time play on third down or whatever, okay. The problem is, I know a lot of people say use him as a decoy, right? And that's what I thought they were going to use him as against the Vikings, which would have helped. But at the same time, the whole point of using him as a decoy for me against the Vikings and how I felt like that's how they would go about it, the reason is because if he plays, he's had no practice time going into that Vikings game, right? Not necessarily worried about the injury because he wouldn't have been activated off IR if he was still banged up. Now he's a little banged up again. They can say what they will, no structural damage, all that. It's still something to keep in mind. So because of that, I would say the decoy thing is probably out the window because you don't want to put more wear and tear on him, have him go out there running meaningless routes, get him hurt on a meaningless play where he's just there to just take the attention off of guys.
Yeah.
I don't like that, but I think having him in uniform on the sideline, if this game is closer than maybe they think it's going to be, needing a big play on third down, I wouldn't mind having him in uniform and using him towards the end of the game if need be. Kind of similar to what they did with Whittington, in the run game. They know he can bring it blocking, and so they basically had him in uniform, didn't come in until the fourth quarter, and he helped in the run game. In a game that was 20-15 against the Raiders. It was ugly. So if it's something like that, I don't mind it. I just think you have to be cognizant of the fact that, yeah, of course you need this win, but I'm not about to risk Puka's entire season for the sake of winning this game. If you can't win this game without
Right.
Puka Nacua, then there's bigger issues, right? So that's what I would say about that. But I also want to throw this out there, Alexis, because I'm not sure if everybody is remembering, but Mike Macdonald, this new head coach for the Seattle Seahawks, right? He dominated last year with the Ravens. His defense dominated Jared Goff and the Lions, dominated Brock Purdy and the 49ers, dominated Geno Smith and the Seahawks, right? They dominated the Cardinals. Do you know he actually struggled against the Rams? Not many teams he struggled against. They led the majority of last season. The Ravens did. They were a great football team. And honestly, if they could have gotten over the hump, they should have been in the Super Bowl. But here's the thing. The Rams came in and they ran 8 straight run plays with Kyren Williams. They ran down Mike Macdonald's defense's throat. And they had some really good players on that defense. And they didn't care. They're like, we're going to establish the run. So they did that. And then it opened up the passing attack. That game was lost. But Sean McVay and the Rams proved that despite this new defense, this new defensive mind that was taking over the NFL, was taking it by storm, he went in there and he's like, I don't give a rip. I'm going to run it with Kyren 8 times. I'm going to set the tone. They're not going to be able to punch back. They pretty much lost that game because of the defense, but I don't want to put too much on the defense because I'll say in that game, that was just one of those games that could have been a Super Bowl game. That was in the pouring rain, and you have Matthew Stafford throwing it all over the field. You got Lamar Jackson. Just a fun game. Hated the way it ended, obviously, in overtime on a punt return, but that was their only loss the entire year. So I look at this game. I look at the way Sean McVay, kind of navigated his offense against the Mike McDonald defense that, let's be honest here, the supporting cast that he was working with on the Ravens was a lot better. And he did all he did, last year. I expect him to be more of the same. And by the way, they went on the road and played Baltimore in the pouring rain. So it wasn't one of those games where, oh, they were in the comfort of their own home. No. So I think they're going to have success. I do. And, some people would probably say, well, McDonald has seen the Rams offense. He has experience. He can learn from that. He can, make adjustments. And that's also true. But when push comes to shove and I'm deciding between McDonald or McVay, I'm going to take the McVay. I'm going to take the Mick that's won a Super Bowl and is feeling really good right now. And the Rams got the momentum and Seattle doesn't. Desperate teams are scary, but when you start having a team like the Rams have already faced adversity and are starting to turn a corner, that's scarier.
Well, I want to get into our score prediction and our game predictions, but one last thing I want to talk about because I'm seeing this talked about in the chat is the inside linebacker situation. A lot of people are wondering, what that's going to look like Sunday against the Seahawks. So, what do you guys, or Jake, I should ask you directly. I mean, what do you think? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think this linebacker situation has been frustrating for Rams fans. I'm putting that politely. I think the loss of Ernest Jones, I'm seeing a lot of chats in here bringing up Ernest Jones and just frustration right now. And I guess, Jake, the question from what I'm deciphering is, what do you think that combination is going to look like on Sunday? And do you think there's any developments there?
Yeah, I think this Sunday, Christian Roseboom's going to get the start. The green dot is going to be Quentin Lake. Quentin Lake, by the way, like before I get back into the linebackers here, I think he's going to get extended. He is playing his way into being a key cog of this team. And him taking on the green dot just tells you all you need to know about how this coaching staff feels about Quentin Lake. He is becoming a secret superstar in the making in LA. But I know we're so shocked. You and I both wanted the Rams to draft him even before we interviewed him. But anyway,
we interviewed him twice. If people don't remember, we had him on our show as a prospect, and then we had him on again after the Rams drafted us, and we were, hyped. But sorry, continue.
And he played college ball in LA.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so the linebackers, Christian Roseboom will start. I think what the Rams want to do is they want to utilize these guys to the best of their ability, based on, the kind of situations they're in. So if they're running a base 3-4 defense, you're going to have two linebackers, right? And you're probably going to have one guy in Roseboom that has experience in coverage. I'm not saying he's a great cover guy. You don't have a lot to work with right now, right? Then you're probably going to have Omar Spates next to him. On obvious run plays, I think if you're going to have a linebacker in there, it needs to be Omar Spates. But what's intriguing is we've seen them. They've been using 3 edge defenders on the field at the same time, that cheetah package with Mike Hoyt and Byron Young and Jared Verse. They've also used 6 DBs. So they've mixed things up. And it's a credit to, Chris Shula and company for actually making these adjustments and, kind of turning the tide. Like I said, and I mean, no disrespect, I know he's going through a lot, Trey White, but they had to kind of scheme around the inefficiency of Trey White. And now, since that they have figured out that secondary, they can run the defense they want to run. They can get blitz happy. They're one of the top teams in terms of pass rush win rate, right? They're creating a lot of pressure, but now they're starting to blitz and they're having a lot of success blitzing on third down. So I think you have a bunch of guys that can help. Omar Spates can blitz. He can help you in run support. Not the greatest cover guy, but he can develop into that. It's no big deal. Right now, Roseboom, he's kind of hit or miss. Has some really good plays, some really good standout plays. A guy that can go sideline to sideline. Really good athlete. Needs to get more depth in his dropbacks and coverage. Jake Hummel's the cover guy. I think he's the best coverage linebacker on this roster currently, truthfully. So I think he'll get some run. And I'm really curious because I know we talked about it with the punter, and they're going to run out of slots here because you can't elevate everybody off the practice squad. But I'm very curious if Tony Fields the second, who they signed to the practice squad, who I really liked coming out of college, I'm really curious if he gets an opportunity. He only played one game, 14 snaps against the Cowboys week 1 for the Browns, gets hurt, and he's on IR. They had all sorts of guys. They go out and get Jordan Hicks in the offseason, Devin Bush. You got Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah. There's a lot of guys there. So he loses his spot. They have him on IR. They cut him from IR. The Rams picked him up. He actually, 3 days before the Rams picked him up, he actually had a workout with the Ravens. Okay, so clearly there were other teams interested in him. I think this is somebody who, if he gets a chance to start, could be their best linebacker on the team. The reality is, asking a linebacker to go out there when he does not know the defense, he has not been around the coaching, doesn't know the signals, anything like that, is just setting him up for failure. So it's going to take a while, I think, for him to, get acclimated to his surroundings, to his coaching staff, to the playbook, all of that. But you might see him, if he's elevated, you might see him in some sub-package roles. And I'll tell you right now, he's a good football player. Just because guys haven't really gotten opportunities does not mean they're not good football players. I look at a similar Browns player, Nick Harris, a center. When they needed they needed a center to take over. He's just an example because this guy's always played really good ball. And unfortunately, when the center came back for the Browns, they just basically were like, all right, Nick Harris, back to the bench. That's the way this works in the NFL. It's unfortunate, but sometimes you really just have to break out because all these guys can play. It's why they're in the NFL. No one's trash. I know a lot of people say that word. No one is trash. A lot of these guys can play, and unfortunately, things happen where coaches get attached to certain players or, whatever, and they get lost in the shuffle of things. Tony Fields II is no different. So I'm curious to see how big of a role he plays, but I think they have to feel good. Going back, watching the tape on it, they have to feel good about Omar Speights, and we'll see what ends up happening. But Alexis, worst comes to worst, I think we're going to see Christian Roseboom starting for sure, and we'll see Omar Speights thrown in there with Jake Hummel and kind of that rotation basis. But they're going to mix things up. They're going to show different looks, 3 edge, 6 DBs. That's the Rams defense now.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. It is going to be very weird. Ernest Jones is now a Seahawk, right? So, that it just adds a little bit insult to injury with the whole linebacker
He's questionable
situation. He is questionable for Sunday, so we'll see. If he plays, it'll definitely be a juicy story. I think we can all agree on that. I hope we're on the winning side of that,
It's
obviously.
the Ernest Jones and Colby Parkinson Bowl.
Yeah, that's true. Both playing their former team. In the chat, by the way, Ruiz asked about a scent for candles. So I'm getting sidetracked because I'm catching up on this. He's asking us. I'm a very big vanilla girl, like scent wise. So anything that is like vanilla or cinnamon or like sweet. Like my witching hour candle over there is like mocha and vanilla. So like that's kind of my wheelhouse, but I will take anything. I'm very appreciative of anything, but
I have to think about that. I can't
let Jake.
Yeah, my mind
Jake,
is all spaced out.
I bought you a candle that you liked. Was it last year? You liked the pumpkin one? I know that's not pumpkin season anymore.
Yeah. No, I like pumpkin.
But I think that was like pumpkin vanilla. I know that you liked that. But anyways, let's get into our score prediction for this game. And I think that we've probably done a pretty poor job of hiding if we think the Rams are going to win or lose this game. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that we're both taking the Rams, Jake. Is that correct?
I was leaning. No, yeah, you're absolutely correct on that one. I'm definitely taking the Rams.
I am taking the Rams too. Jake, I'll let you go first. What is your score prediction for Rams Seahawks this Sunday?
Yeah, so the Rams don't blow anybody out. They just don't. So I'm not picking a blowout ever, because there are a lot of times, no matter how great Sean McVay is, the coaching staff is, all of that, players, there are games that you'll be sitting there like, how are they not winning by 20? And it's a 3-point game. So I'm going to say they win 30-20. Same exact score as last week. I just feel like the Rams are going to start to kind of hover around that 30-point mark now that their offense is getting back to where it was. I think really the key in this game is going to be to run the football, obviously, but I also think if Puka Nacua and Whittington don't play, Tutu Atwell has to be a part of the game plan. They do too much of this, like, oh, Atwell, save us. He's still the leading receiver on the team. And then as soon as they get their guys back, they're like, we're good. You get 9 snaps total. And I think he needs to be more of a part of this offense, especially if Whittington's not playing. But you did, to be fair, you did get Demarcus Robinson going last week. I think a lot of that had to do with the attention on Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. But yeah, I think it's going to be 30-20. And I think that the Rams defense is going to get after Geno Smith. He's had a great year. I don't think Geno gets enough credit. The offensive line has been atrocious, and they haven't really continued to run the football. So when they're not running the football, the offensive line's bad, no DK Metcalf. You're asking a lot out of Geno Smith, who I think is leading the league in passing right now. If not, he's one of the top passers. They have just had him throwing all over the yard. I think that's what the Rams would prefer them do, instead of having, somebody like Kenneth Walker run all over them. So, yeah, I think the Rams win 30-20.
So I have the Rams winning 28-17. So that's kind of, I guess, in a similar wheelhouse to what you have. I originally was actually going to say 31-17, but then I was thinking about it and I was like, maybe that's a little ambitious. I'm not sure, because like you said, the Rams don't really blow anybody out. I do think that the Seahawks, have maybe an underrated offense. I mean, they're missing DK, right? So we talked about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they're going to still be able to, have some success. And whenever you play division rivals, you typically, I think, play better. It just seems like the NFC West, when they play each other, sometimes can show some sparks that they don't show otherwise, right? In some other games. So,
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I do think the Rams are going to get the better of the Seahawks. If it ends up, a blowout on the Rams end, I wouldn't be surprised, but it just, I can't in good faith predict that. I don't think that that's what's going to happen. So you heard it, guys. Jake and I are both predicting a Rams win this Sunday. Now, whenever we close the show, we each give 3 predictions, like 3 game stats. Semi-bold, I should say. Jake, I'll let you go first. Give us 3 game predictions, stat lines, for this game against the Seahawks on Sunday.
Yeah, just want to give DJ Fono a shout out for becoming a member on my channel. Appreciate you.
Shout out.
Yeah, so the first stat prediction, and I'll try to be creative here because I don't want to steal Alexis' thunder and I don't want to have any repeats. So let's start off by saying this. I think a lot of people were a little concerned about the way Cooper Kupp looked on Thursday. He looked more limited than Puka Nacua. Well, I think that mini bye week is going to do wonders for him. So I think he goes over 120 and catches 2 tutties in this game. So that's like all in one prediction there. Number 2, last time the Mike McDonald, whatever, the team that Mike McDonald was on, last time they faced the Ravens, there was a player that came away with a huge interception. That was Ahkello Witherspoon. I think he gets one in this game. And number 3, I'm going to say last time he got a shot, well, not last year, but he got a shot in Seattle in 2022, I believe. Yes, 2022. And it was actually the last game Jalen Ramsey played with the Rams. That's kind of depressing. But in that game, Quentin Lake had a pick that he dropped. I think he gets one in this game. I think Geno's going to throw 2 interceptions, one to Kello, one to Q, and of course, I think, Cooper Kupp goes for 120 and 2 touchdowns.
I like it. Love to hear it. My first prediction is going to surprise nobody, but I've hit this one, before. Is I think Kyren Williams 2 touchdowns. I think it's just the writing is on the wall. I don't think it's bold at all. We just talked about it earlier, how the success that running backs have against the Seattle defense. And I think that, just based on the momentum that Kyren has and how good he's been playing, this could be a very big game for him. So I think, you're going to see 2 rushing touchdowns from Kyren Williams. And he didn't get a rushing touchdown last game. He got a receiving one. So that's new because, you put Kyren in the red zone, he's a touchdown machine, as everybody says. So, yeah, I think that's like my safest
Did you see how he
prediction.
scored that, by the way?
Mm-hmm. I
That
did.
he is, and I know it was designed, like Sean McVay comes out and that's how it was designed, but not every running back in the National Football League is going to be able to do that. Okay. That's a really, really tough play because for those of you who don't know, he went in between the edge rusher and the left tackle, right in between that. And then it gives him that release, which is basically a free release because it's a quick slant over the middle. And now because his release goes through an engagement, it's hard for a defensive back to pick that up and be like, oh, and then all of a sudden, what do you see? Well, this is why I love going back and watching tape, because if you watched on TV, you just say, like the Vikings fans are probably like, why the hell didn't they cover Kyren Williams? Why is he wide open in the end zone? That's why. And that's why he plays. He's very, very smart football player.
He is. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And it's funny because in order to do that play correctly, you have to be fast, right? And everybody, their whole thing with Kyren is, oh, but he's not a fast running back. It doesn't matter because that is insanely fast. In order to cut between the tackle and the defender, like you have to be agile, right? That's a certain type of quickness. That is so skillful that you don't see many running backs do that. I mean, it's almost like watching a superhero with like some type of like, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it's like supersonic, really fast reaction that he had. So that was really, really cool, to watch that on because I didn't notice it live at first either. It was the replay. I said, wait, did he just go between the tackle and the defender? Like that's insane. So also shout out to Tyrone in the chat, super chat, and he said, should we put Puka on a snap count? Which I think yes, if he plays, in my opinion.
Yes.
Just because I don't think that this is the game to risk it. We kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. I was like, just don't play him if he's aggravated at all. But Jake was like, suit him up and have him on the sideline. So those are our kind of 2 schools of thought. Jake, I don't know if you want to elaborate on that before I
give
the rest of my predictions.
That's pretty much where I'm at. I think you got to give him, a snap count. He got banged up a little bit in practice. Don't go over the top. It's that simple. You got away with this one. They said that he dodged a bullet, whatever, just a scare. Let's keep it that way. If you start pushing the envelope, you're not going to like what you find.
Right. So, so my first prediction is the Kyren Williams 2 touchdowns. My second prediction is Jared Verse 2 sacks. Listen, I think Jared Verse is heating up. I know that he had, for some people, kind of like an aesthetically frustrating start to the season, right? Because he was getting to the quarterback and he wasn't getting the sacks. I get it; it's frustrating to watch. All the pressures, all the amazing things that he's doing. The reason that he is like the basically front runner right now, I think, for defensive rookie of the year. If not, if he's not the front runner, he's one of them. I haven't checked, the odds, in the past week, but he's insane, like with the pressures. And I think we're starting to see, he's kind of starting to put it together a little bit. I think he's going to continue doing that this week. I think he's going to get 2 sacks against Seattle. It's going to be really fun to watch. So that's my second prediction. My third prediction, Jake, and I don't have a specific player, but there's just something in the air. I think that the Rams are going to get a pick six. It feels right. Sorry, Geno Smith, but I think you're going to throw a really, really bad interception against this Rams secondary, which is heating up as of late. Maybe it'll be like Kobe Durant. I think that, it could be Witherspoon. But there's just something about the vibe going into this game, this young defense. Yep, I just saw it on the screen. I say Kobe Durant interception. I think you could be right. I think this defense heating up, guys. I mean, we've had a roller coaster of emotions with this Rams defense this season. Jake and I's
Just a
tone
little bit.
now is very different, obviously, than it was to start the season. They had some inexcusable games. We can't deny that, but I think they really are starting to put it together. I think they're starting to build chemistry. I think everything is starting to fall into place. So yeah, I think that the defense is going to have a good game against Seattle. And yes, not having DK Metcalf in there is probably going to affect the Rams secondary in a positive way. So we'll see. But yeah, those are my three predictions. I like mine. I like Jake's. I hope that we're both right about the Rams getting a win this Sunday. Jake, it's a division game.
We weren't going to punt anyway.
Yeah. We weren't planning on punting anyway. So hopefully that doesn't matter as much as it could matter because, Evans is very skilled at what he does. But yeah, let's see. Let's see, Jake. Any closing thoughts on this game versus Seattle before we get out of here?
So I'm going to start a new thing here on this show. Okay. Especially if we're going to do live. I want to poll everyone in the chat who is going to be, and we don't need to know the results. We'll just see a bunch of people. Everyone in the chat that's still here, drop who you think will be the player of this game for the Rams against the Seahawks. Drop it below. And we'll highlight a bunch of them to end the show. Yeah.
We'll give you guys 60 seconds. 60 seconds. You guys drop who you think is going to be the star of this Rams game. We see some cups. We see some verses. Durant, Kyron Williams, V8, Jared Verse. A lot of Stafford.
I'm trying.
A lot of Cup, a lot of Durant.
I'm trying to get all of them. I'm going to miss some because, oh, wow, you guys are awesome.
So many. We got a Rose Boom. We got another Jared Verse. Kyron, Matthew, Tutu. Jake's throwing them on the screen. I'm reading them for the people listening just via audio. Lake, Demarcus Robinson, Puka, Tutu, Cup. A lot of Cup.
Myron.
Cup is very...
I know who that is.
That's supposed to say Kyron. Jared Verse, we got a Blake Corum. A Hunter Long.
Brandon Frisk. Oh, man.
Stafford. A lot of Matthew Stafford.
All of them. All of the players are players.
A lot of guys. So yeah, I'm basically seeing a lot of I'd say Stafford and Cup are the two I'm seeing the most. And then defensively, I'm seeing a lot of Jared Verse. So Jake, I think that everyone's kind of in agreement. Kind of what we've been saying on the show. None of these answers are super surprising.
Lake. We got a Lake in there. We got Demarcus Robinson. John Stafford. Okay.
Some Byron Young.
DeMarc.
Kobe Turner.
Super Tutu. Puka. Cup.
Somebody said, how about the ex-Seattle tight end? This could be a big Colby Parkinson game.
Hunter Long. I don't know what. I
saw that.
He would have to play. Actually, let's talk about this. How does somebody like Hunter Long, not even necessarily Hunter Long, but how does somebody like that become player of the game? Like, what would Hunter Long, for instance, have to do?
Well, unfortunately, I think, well, the guy who said that, by the way, is saying in the chat that he was trolling.
He is, but I'm saying I'm serious.
So, well, unfortunately, I think because of where he is in the depth chart, it would have to be because of injury, right? Because he's,
but like, what,
which is unfortunate.
Statistically, what would he have to do?
Well, he would have to,
Catches the game-winning touchdown. Is that enough for you, or does he
Yeah.
need to have like stats?
Maybe he has 2 touchdowns. Maybe he comes in as a decoy, right? He comes in a block or something, and the Rams run the same play twice, and he ends up with 2 touchdowns, and it's a close game, and the Rams win by 14. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
interesting.
theoretically, anything could happen. But yeah, for everybody listening, there was Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp were overwhelmingly, I think, the favorites, dropped in the chat for star of the game. So we'll see.
Drew Bennett. Oh my God.
We'll see. Against the
St. Louis
Seahawks,
Rams
but
legend Drew Bennett. 215-yard game. Kupp, John Matthew Stafford. Oh, Myron could be Byron. That's true.
Oh, it could be. That's true.
2-2. So Reader is going to come off the IR 1 game through and be the player of the game. That would be something. Oh, Aaron Donald's coming out like he's the Undertaker. Like just he comes out of retirement, just shows up. Like the lights go out and he just appears on the field and you hear Geno Smith freaking out.
You don't even,
funny.
He sneaks onto the sideline and then all of a sudden mid-play, Geno Smith realizes Aaron's playing for the first time. He's like, oh my God, again, like a living nightmare.
The power goes out like that Super Bowl with the 49ers and Ravens. And it's just Aaron Donald just staring Geno down.
We'll see. But you know what? I don't care who the star of the game is as long as the Rams win. Period.
Mr. Worthington. Cooper Kupp, I don't know if you saw this. Cooper Kupp is going in on Jordan Whittington. He is giving him the rookie haze because he doesn't call him his name. He told him to get out of his podcast. Like, I don't know if you saw that, but that's what he's referring to, Mr. Worthington. He's like, yeah, we have Jason Worthington now on 9 and Dime.
Yeah.
Like
a lot of different names being thrown out. Like I said, as long as we win, I don't care.
I think so, Adam. And definitely wise. Ooh, no one has said the ex-Seattle tight end, Colby Parkinson. We got Hunter Long before Colby Parkinson.
Yeah, I just talked about this like 2 minutes ago.
It's just, I don't know. That's weird. Quentin Lake.
Maybe they'll all be stars. They're all stars in our eyes.
Drug test,
but hopefully
Kyron. All right, guys. I highlighted as many as I could. You guys are awesome. Yeah, we're keeping that. And I do appreciate Nolan, I do agree with that. Candy corn is buns. So
well, let's
you're
hope
not a
that
candy
we start
corn
off.
fan, are you?
No, I don't like hate it. Like, there's some people that despise it. I don't go out of my way to eat it.
It was created through like candle wax. Like it's just I don't know.
It's not like favorable. Like I don't know when the last time I had it was, but we are in November. Rams are going to play November 3rd in Seattle against the Seattle Seahawks. We hope that we are coming out with a win, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was a live episode that we did kind of spur of the moment. So,
oh yeah, I rug
really
pulled Alexis. I was like, oh, by the way, this will be live, like 5 minutes before we went live.
Yep, he did. He did do that. So hey, we've got about 700 people watching right now. We can see how many people are watching on our streaming thing here. We've got 710 people in the episode watching and chatting along with us. So we appreciate all of you guys so much. Thank you for spending part of your Friday night with us. We will be back Monday night recapping this game against the Seahawks, hopefully recapping a win. But until then, you can follow us on social media at Downtown Rams. You can follow me at the Alexis Craft on Twitter. You can follow Jake at JK Bogan. And like I said, guys, we will be back Monday night. But until then, as always, stay safe, take care, and go Rams.